If you were to go back maybe 100,000 years into Earth's past, you might have come across Neanderthals who, in the face of climate devastation, storms and fires and earthquakes, might have tried to explain it away as a curse or something to do with the gods. You know, these big things happen and they can be scary and we want to understand them, but they had very small brains and they didn't have science. Now, of course, that was a long time ago and the cavemen are all gone and we now use science, or at least most of us do. There are still some throwbacks walking around, and that takes us to Marjorie Greene. See, Hurricane Helene caused a lot of damage in the United States and left 215 people dead. That number will almost certainly rise. And most people who care at all about how the world actually works understand that hurricanes happen, they are devastating, and in fact getting worse in no small part thanks to the fact that climate change has resulted in warmer ocean temperatures that make these hurricanes more fierce when they do hit. That's what the scientists say. Marjorie Greene believes, as always, that she knows better. She says, yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done. They, which is how you speak when you don't know what you're actually saying or who you're actually talking about, but you want to say something, so you just throw it onto a they. And so what's the they? How are they controlling the weather? What does this have to do with anything? Well, she also tweeted this. This is a map of hurricane affected areas with an overlay of electoral map by political party, shows how hurricane devastation could affect the election. So there's all sorts of grammatical and spelling errors there, but the basic idea is that Hurricane Helene, if we could leave that up for a second, you'll see that, oh my God, it hit a lot of red areas when it hit Florida and Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia. She appears to have gotten that map by from Matt Wallace, a crypto influencer.
Oh, good.
And the idea there is they, the Democrats, or there's probably a little bit of Jewish people in there. It's Marjorie Greene after all. She doesn't want to be specific for reasons that should be clear. They're doing this to hurt the red areas. And I think that that's really amazing for a few reasons that we'll get into. Now, she's not the only one making this case. Alex Jones said on Thursday that the government uses weather weapons and said the hurricane conveniently destroyed the reddest areas in 4 southern states so that votes cannot be cast by Trump voters in the upcoming election. Now the Democrats don't want the rural areas of the state brought back online to ensure the blue cities can steal it again. First of all, the hurricane devastated entire states. The rural areas, yes, and also the urban areas. On that map, you can see a number of cities that are bright blue on there that were also hit. I guess they didn't care about the Democrats getting hit in the crossfire. And I know we're gonna talk about this, so we're gonna talk about cloud seeding. I just wanna say that, like, I almost understand that if something happens that's super rare, couldn't have been predicted, like simplistic, ignorant people turn to conspiracy theories to feel better about the world, that the world is chaotic and things can just happen. But here's what is not unexplainable. The fact that a hurricane hit the southeastern end of the United States, that's where they hit. Like, if it's not like, well, this one didn't hit Seattle, I wonder why, maybe they did it. It hit Florida, it hit North Carolina. That's the area that gets hit by hurricanes. But if you're Marjorie Greene, or if you're one of the people in the incredibly sorry state of believing her and trusting her on stuff like this, it seems like, oh my God, she's on to something. It must be the weather machines.
Yeah, so look, if Democrats acted the same way as Republicans, we'd be like, all of a sudden, winter storms in blue states like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Oh my God, also Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire. Oh my, they're creating the weather and they're sending blizzards to the blue states. Come on guys, it's embarrassing. That's where hurricanes hit. That's so sad. And so, okay, maybe we can get them to believe climate change is real and actually causing this if we spin it as a conspiracy theory. Which, by the way, like the funny thing is, causing climate change is an actual conspiracy where a bunch of oil companies got together in their internal documents say, oh, we know this is gonna cause climate change and it's gonna cost an unbelievable amount of money for the whole world, but let's make them pay for it. We don't wanna pay for the cost of our own goods, right? So we'll just pay a lot of money to the politicians and the politicians will pretend that climate change doesn't exist and it was cloud seeding or something. Okay, they didn't mention cloud seeding in the memos. Okay, but they actually literally did that. It's to manufacture doubt, right? So that is the thing that actually happened that created climate change, which doesn't create hurricanes, but makes them more severe. And this one was very severe. So when we should be talking about climate change and how 180 people died here. And by the way, those families had to pay for it. Now the government and hence US taxpayers have to pay up for all the cleanup, et cetera. The oil companies got to keep the money. That's the byproduct of their product, right? Now, normal businesses, when they have a toxic byproduct, have to pay for it and factor that into the cost and lose some profits. Not the oil companies, they just stick you with the bill. So I have a different theory on, now there's the God angle, right? I have a different theory on that and why God might have wanted to hit the red states. And it involves abortion.
Oh my God.
But hold on, first Franny.
No, I mean, I was gonna lead with that, Cenk. I mean, you can jump off on that because I feel like this is like stolen valor from God. Like if you actually believed in God and you're gonna blame the hurricane on the Democrats, like don't raise the Democrats up to godlike stature, you know? There's only like if you really believe that, like now you're saying, oh yeah, well the Dems did it. Like God's like, I did it. What do you mean? First I sent you a global pandemic to try to buck Trump, and you're welcome. and now this, you know, and so, but Cenk is right. Like the conspiracy is right, and it hits you right in the face. It is climate change. Climate change, yeah, it's a corporate conspiracy. And yes, oil companies have been doing nothing but privatizing the profits from extraction and then publicizing and nationalizing the consequences. So we have to pay for it vis-a-vis, obviously, FEMA and federal agencies. And Biden has pledged 100% of all the costs incurred by these southeastern states will be paid for by the federal government. I'm old enough to remember when Donald Trump was blaming Californians for our own wildfires. You got to clean all this stuff up. You guys remember that, right? So we can never imagine if Biden actually doing that, because he's not doing it. And so, like, the real thing is this, though. People grasp for conspiracy theories, well, because they're anti-Semites, but also because we live in unprecedented times. I mean, there is something to be said about Asheville, North Carolina being 400 miles from any coastline, and being also heavily blue, by the way, but again, don't tell Marge, and being hit with these like once in 100-year storms, if that. And so, you know, in these sort of apocalyptic times, there's two ways you can go. You can be like, well, we're being punished for all the trans, or we're being punished for all the oligarchy. We're being punished for allowing oil and gas companies to run roughshod over our air rights and human rights and water rights and just our lives, and contributing to climate change and facing no consequences themselves in a better United States.
Yeah.
Oil and gas companies would be the ones paying the reparations, the fix-its, all making the people who've been displaced in these regions whole. And I hope we get there in our lifetimes.
Yeah. So I'm going to go to our members next, and then I'll give you my abortion theory on God and the hurricane, because these are hilarious. Nice job, guys. Wang Chun said, Marjorie Taylor Greene is like a Facebook comment section that made a wish to become a real person.
That's pretty good.
That is really funny. Okay, you get a $100 Blue Apron gift card, rewards at tyt.com. You got to be a member, but if you are, we love our members. Hit the join button below or tyt.com/team. I got another one for you. Pessimistic Progressive says, if Republicans are so upset about the path of the hurricane, why didn't they just draw a different one beforehand? That's really funny too. Of course, Trump famously redrew the line afterwards, to be fair, okay? But I like that one. You get a $100 Blue Apron gift card, rewards at tyt.com. And post-traumatic South disorder said, Marjorie thinks the blue wave is literal. Come on, that's 3 in a row. You get a $100 Blue Apron gift card.
That one's good.
Yeah, so nice job, guys. I love our members. Way to be part of this show. Hit the join button below. Okay, so look, you guys know, if you watch the Young Turks long enough, that the Bible's pro-abortion, right? I've read you the passages many times. Numbers 5:11 through 31. If you think your wife cheated on you, you take her to a priest. He does a toxic potion. He gives it to her. If she didn't cheat, she's fine. But if she did, then God orders an abortion, and the fetus is discharged. Right. So it's a literal abortion. It's in the Bible. The priest carries it out, and God commands it. So,
still not really progressive though, not very bodily autonomy, but
no, it's not exactly liberal, no, but it is in the Bible. It is.
Sure.
And Republicans should like it.
Yeah, I didn't write it. If you think I'm lying, go read Numbers 5:11 through 31 in your Trump Bible. See how it turns out. Okay, so and the hurricane did hit the red states. Maybe God is mad that they outlawed abortion. I mean, God is pro-abortion. Indisputable in the Bible. So he might be like, what are you guys doing? We had Roe v. Wade, and now you're going outlawed? Well, how are you gonna take care of your cheating wives? How are you gonna give them abortions? That's it, you hit them with a hurricane. See, there, I just came up with a beautiful conspiracy theory, and now they might believe it.
No one actually has a little bit more logic behind it. Anyway, yeah, by the way, my final policy point, in the immediate lead up to the hurricane, Matt Gaetz, who went on to say, you gotta give us more money, which by the way, Florida should get money to deal with the storm. Him and all the other Florida Republicans voted against increased disaster aid for FEMA. We're not gonna play the video, but Marjorie Greene said she's not gonna give FEMA another $1. And now she's like, the Democrats aren't gonna help the rebuild. Like, you were literally saying we shouldn't rebuild. And they do this every single time. Look at like Ted Cruz and all the winter storms in Texas, and he just flees and doesn't do anything. They never get better. Like, when are MAGA people gonna realize you are like literally out in the storm by yourself when you're relying on Republicans? Like, they'll beg for government assistance after the fact if it affects their exact area. But they don't want to be a part of the solution for other people. They're certainly not going to plan for these sorts of events. I mean, even just in the short term. I'm not talking about like actually doing something about climate change so that we don't get far worse hurricanes a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now. And so I just don't understand when you're gonna like Republicans are so hyper conscious about the need to be defended and safe. And they do not care about the fact that Republicans will literally never defend them from the real threats that face them and their family.
And just to that point, John, I mean, like also Marjorie Greene is out here going like, we spent $650 million on illegals, or rattling off like million. Even if the numbers you say are correct, and yeah, okay, they're going to fund illegal, whatever it is, million. A country named Israel has received what was our last shipment? I don't know, $8-9 billion in US weapons, and it seems to match pretty overlapping what the FEMA shortfall for their budget was this year. Methinks you're looking in the wrong direction. But again, be careful if she looks too hard at Israel, because yes, known anti-Semite, don't look too hard at Israel.
Yeah, but look, so last quick thing here. So the 8.7 billion was part of the $26 billion package, so it's an even larger amount. But I now see right-wingers online going, yeah, wait a minute, we got a shortfall here. We can't take care of the people in Georgia and North Carolina. What are we spending all this money on Ukraine and Israel? But when I watched Marjorie Taylor Greene in this segment that we're talking about, she said, and what are we sending money to Ukraine? Anyway, instead of giving it to FEMA, I was like, oh, that was interesting. Because look, here, it's not, to me, yeah, we know her crazy anti-Semitic things about the Jewish space lasers, etc.
Yeah.
So I don't know what her views on Israel are, and I don't want to know, and I don't care, because I don't respect her opinions on that, because I'm concerned that she's biased in a direction and not just making a rational decision on who's right and who's wrong. But it is interesting that Republican politicians overall are not saying what their base is saying. Their base is saying, why are we sending it to Ukraine and Israel? Whereas when the politicians come out and they go, why are we sending it to Ukraine? Just because they were invaded by Russia, our enemy. We should be sending it to Israel that got hit on October 7th, which was a year ago, and has been slaughtering people for the last 10 months. Yeah. That was totally fine, and had now just attacked 5 of its neighbors in super aggressive fashion to start a war. So Israel being the aggressor and attacking all those countries, totally fine. Ukraine suffering from Russian aggression, not fine. Gee, I wonder who's got giant donors helping them and who doesn't in this country. Keep it real. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.